Almost live from the Herbert I. Greenberg Studios at WHIG, it's Up Late with Sam Bass.
Oh no, look at that traffic. I'll never make it by car. Let me call my friend Gary Hodges though. Gary? Hey, this is Sam. No, I don't want to be on your pickleball team. I need a big favor. Can you help me? Hey, thank you so much for doing this for me.
No problem at all. I'm glad I can help. You know I'm a huge fan.
Oh yeah, I know.
Hey, you can't have this in the airplane.
Well, this is an airplane bottle. Hey, there's the studio now. Thanks for the lift, Gary. See you later.
Hey, Sam, you forgot your parachute!
Woo! I'm good. Thank you, Scott Smith, and welcome to the show. I can't believe I survived that. A little knot on the head. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good. And look, it didn't break. It's a miracle. Might as well make good use of it. Kind of a small pool for me, but we'll live with it. You know, we thought this show needed another dummy other than me. But I do want to extend a huge thank you to my good friend Gary Hodges for helping me out and giving me a lift. Because, you know, Jamie would have killed me if I was late for the show. So I got here on time. It was a little rough, but I got here. While I'm giving shout outs, let's give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, Sparkling Creations. You might be wondering, what makes Sparkling Creations so special? Sparkling Creations, they don't just create, they sparkle. So they're the premier rental and event planning company here in town. They offer a variety of party rental supplies. They specialize in making your event as relaxing as possible. Stress-free. I'm telling you, I've dealt with them with the chamber. They make it so easy. You just tell them what you need, you get out of their way, they make it happen. So check them out at asparklingcreation.com and you can definitely plan on a really good time. Speaking of good times, don't forget our exciting new loyalty plan they have over at Phil's Record Exchange in Wilson. For every $10 you spend at a time without tax, you'll get a stamp, and look, it's Phil's head. You get a stamp of Phil's head. Once you get to a point where you fill up the whole card, you're going to get $10 off your purchase. So if you go in there and mention my name and you heard it here on Up Late with Sam Bass, you'll get an extra head. That didn't come out right, but you know what I mean. You get an extra stamp. So whether you're hunting for vinyl, cassettes, DVDs, video games, 8-tracks like Mike and I used to listen to back in the day, make sure you visit Phil's Record Exchange and don't forget to tell him that Sam sent you. So tonight, speaking of Mike, we have a very special guest, longtime friend, and he's actually in the Two Timers Club. 2 times on the show, this is the second time. Retired Top Gun pilot and two-star admiral. Don't want to take any rank away from him. Mike Manazir is here. He's going to join us in a few minutes. So, you know, he's jumped out of a plane 2 or 3 or 20 plus times, a lot more successfully than what I just did. But, you know, we'll get to that a little bit later. But just so you know, the only way I'm jumping out of a plane IRL, that's Gen Z talk for in real life for you fellow boomers out there. If somebody throws out the last bottle of bourbon, I got to go retrieve it. But there are 5 reasons, it's always 5, isn't it? The top 5 reasons I would jump out of a plane. All right, number 5. Not this guy again. If I found myself stuck next to John Check and his never-ending love affair with jalapenos. Seriously, this guy loves jalapenos so much he probably puts them on ice cream and in his cereal in the morning. The mere thought of that pungent aroma wafting through a cabin of an airplane is enough to make me consider a quick exit. Watch out, Mike. Number 4. If I discovered that our pilot for the flight was none other than Snoop Dogg. Now, while Snoop's laid back vibes and they're great for a party, I'm not sure I'd be comfortable with him flying the plane. Not exactly my kind of mile high club, if you know what I mean. But who knows? You never know what the in-flight snacks were going to be. Maybe some kind of brownies, I'm guessing. Who knows? Number 3, if I were sandwiched between the Bakelite boys. Sure, they've been on the show. They're great guys. They were a blast on here. In fact, probably none of us should have been driving home that night. But ever since they became Swifties, they've been belting out these Taylor Swift songs all the time. That's not my idea of a soothing in-flight entertainment. I'm just kidding. They're not really Swifties. I can't even say it. They're not really Swifties. Not to my knowledge, that is. Number 2. If the one and only bathroom on the plane was occupied by Chris Krispy Kreme Christie, who wouldn't stop bragging about winning a sardine and boiled egg eating contest. Oh, no. I had to really go, trust me. Being stuck in a cramped, coffin-sized bathroom after him is something that's definitely not on my bucket list. The number 1, this is so predictable. The number 1 reason I would jump out of an airplane if the flight attendant broke the news that they had run out of bourbon. So there you have it. That's my top 5 reasons for jumping out of an airplane, a perfectly good airplane. So don't jump out of your chair. Sit tight. We'll be right back with Mike Nasty Manazir.
If you're planning a party, wedding, birthday party, baby shower, or corporate event, Sparkling Creations can make it memorable for you. With tents, tables, bouncy houses, and more. We can even provide a fire pit for outdoor events. If you want to be adventurous, we have a mechanical bull. You name the event, and Sparkling Creations has you covered. Located at 976 North Winstead Avenue, Sparkling Creations, where we make every event sparkle.
Phil's Music Exchange of Wilson offers thousands of vinyl LPs, CDs, cassettes, 8 tracks. They even have reel-to-reels, DVDs, Blu-rays, VHS, video games, an abundance of music for the music lover. Check them out today. Phil's Music Exchange in Tarboro, 207 West Tarboro Street, downtown Wilson, or philsmusicexchange.com.
Welcome back, as promised, the man himself, Mike Nasty Manazir, my longtime friend. Thank you so much for returning.
Good to see you, Sam. Take 2. And I'm really grateful because, well, 1, he knew me that many decades ago, and he decided to connect. And then 2, after having this experience, number 1 down here, you invited me back. So I'm pretty happy and grateful.
We ran out of time. We had so much to talk about. We had a conversation after the show that went on and on and on
of course.
Into the night. It was great. So the last time you were here, if you recall, I gave you an award as Sam's most accomplished friend. I have not seen it on eBay, but have you put it out there yet?
Nope, still sits on my shelf. It's right there. and you know this, it wasn't a staged picture. That thing is sitting right there, right by my most prized possessions.
You know, I see a lot of your videos online. I really need to see it more behind you than what I'm seeing it.
I'll put it right there, Sam.
So last time we talked about your book, all the lessons from your book. And I want to talk about a couple of those stories. But one in particular, there's a story about you helping to land a plane. I don't know what you call that officer. You have to tell me. And the guy was hanging out of the cockpit. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that.
So that officer is called a landing signal officer.
Okay.
And the landing signal officer in the United States Navy stands at the back left side of the aircraft carrier, so port aft. And so if you picture the way airplanes land on the aircraft carrier, the LSO team is standing in the back looking this way while the ship's going that way. Okay. And so all of your attention is on the airplanes coming around the corner to land. My position at that time was I was the senior landing signal officer in Carrier Air Wing 11. I was responsible for the safe recovery of all Air Wing 11 airplanes, no matter what condition they were in. Mm-hmm. Day, night, normal, and honestly, we'd have normal emergencies, like a 2-engine airplane would have 1 engine out, or maybe the landing flaps didn't work correctly, or maybe they had an electrical or hydraulic failure. But this particular day was the most unique in naval aviation history. In modern naval aviation history, they've never landed a modern aircraft with one of the crewmen stuck out the top of the airplane.
I've seen the pictures and the video. It's crazy.
It's nuts. And I'll tell you, learning about that step by step through the radio calls from the bosun who I talked to, and then on the radio from the pilot, and then seeing the airplane get bigger and go from having a little bump on the top of the airplane to a cross shape to there's actually a person stuck out the top of the airplane who's unconscious and his arms are being blown out by the air.
That's crazy.
To that's a person, oh my gosh, he's dead, as I'm talking to him to help the pilot land the airplane. Unprecedented.
And he lived through it.
He did. He did. And I won't tell a full story unless you really want me to, Sam, but it was a shock. I went into my training mode of being a landing signal officer. I talked to the pilot, whose name was Mark Baden, about what I wanted to do with the airplane and what he wanted to do with the airplane. And so as a team, we landed that airplane in the right place. And so, looking up in an airplane with a person laid over, barefaced looking at you is something that we don't normally get to see in modern naval aviation, because you just see helmets and masks. And as they came across the ramp, so about right here, so if you're in the airplane in the audience facing me, you're higher than me and up to the left, and I'm staring right at this guy's face. And he's unconscious. I think he's dead. They crossed the ramp. I put the airplane, or it influenced Mark to fly the airplane to before the very first wire. And he wanted to land too, so he landed and he bounced. So the airplane bounced hard, and A6 intruders normally bounced anyway. And so they bounced, and the hook skipped over the 1 wire, the 2 wire, because it just got this skip going, because he landed so hard, over the 3 wire, and there's only 4. And then I was yelling at him on the radio saying, attitude, 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 and that makes him pull back on the stick. That's the reaction when you get an attitude call from the LSO. He hauls back on the stick, digs the hook in, and grabs the 4 wire on the fly, rolling.
Wow.
So Keith Gallagher is the bombardier navigator's name. He was this one stuck out the top. It was his birthday. It was his 100th arrested landing. And he did live. And his fiancée, who's now his wife, and they have 2 daughters, is the only person that hugged the commanding officer at the time and said, "Bring my fiancée home alive." And so here we are. I'll tell you the funny ending to the story. The man's unconscious from 4,000 feet above the carrier all the way down because he got his helmet and mask blown off and he got asphyxiated by the wind blast. So he's unconscious from the time that Mark pushed the airplane down to come aboard the ship. Mm-hmm. Out the top, and we always are very precise on the glide path of our airplanes. We strive to be on the right glide path, and they're all graded coming down, and so you're perfect, or you're high, or you're low, or you're left or right of this glide path all the way down, and we grade that. And I think he's actually dead, and I was very sad. And I go down to the ready room, and I said, "Skipper, I'm so sorry." He goes, "Yeah, that was amazing. He's down in medical getting sewn up right now." I mean, he's alive? What? So I go running down to medical, which is, we're on the 03 level, it's 1 deck below the flight deck. The medical is the 2nd deck down. So I went down 6 decks, all the way down to the 2nd deck, ran into medical, his pilot's leaning against the door, eyes like this big, slapped him on the back. Good job, man, great job. And then I lean over the table where Keith is getting sewn up. And I lean over the top of the medics, and he's getting sewn up in his armpits because when he went through the glass of the cockpit, it left these big shards right here, like inches from his chest. And the only thing holding him in was the main parachute around the tail of the airplane. And so he was held in by this parachute. It's the only way he didn't fall forward into those glass daggers.
Wow.
But when he did land and all the inertia of landing, he fell forward like this with his armpit and caught one of them right in his armpit right here. So they were sewing that up. His face is all black and blue. His eyes are puffy. It's just all beaten up from getting that air. And I lean over and said, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" He goes, "Hey, paddles." He's looking up like this. "What did you give my pilot?" Like a landing grade. And I said, well, I gave him an okay underline. Of course, it was a perfect pass. It landed right where he wanted to. And he goes, "From where I was, he was high all the way." And remember, he was unconscious, so he doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
And he's that graveyard naval aviation humor when he came out and said, yeah, he was high all the way, just, even though he was hurting.
So you saw my clip of my recently failed parachute jump.
Yeah.
So have you ever had anything that you can say you had an old crap moment? I know you crashed a jet before. He's not bragging about that, but other situations like that.
Well, I did jump out of a Tomcat in 1987. It was not a perfectly good airplane. It needed to be stepped out of, and in the book we talk about it. It was an interesting feeling. There was no fear. It was this matter of fact. Well, now here's where I die. This is where I die. So here we go, and we had to pull the ejection handle, and every iteration of that next on the way down was like, and the example I use in the book is like a Russian roulette with a revolver. Click, okay, I didn't die. The next thing, whether it was my flight gear or landing in the water or sharks or, even the ejection sequence itself, it's like, yep, here's where I die. It's very matter of fact. In fact, when I flew airplanes aboard carriers day and night, bad weather all the time, I never felt actual fear. It was tense and, very focused and hard. And the more I got stressed in an airplane, the quieter I got. But there's never any fear. So I did jump out of perfectly good airplanes voluntarily. You mentioned, about 26 times. I have 26 free falls with the United States Army Golden Knights demonstration team. And the way that happened was in 1993 to 1995, I was in the Pentagon as the person who approved military aviation support to air shows. So community relations events and things like that. And part of my job was to approve the schedules of the Army Golden Knights, the Navy Blue Angels, and the Air Force Thunderbirds. And so the sergeants from the Golden Knights who managed the schedule would drive up to the Pentagon from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, close to here, Fayetteville, about 100 miles south of where we are right now. And they would drive up and we do the schedule. And this one particular time in late '94, they said, "Hey, Commander," I was Lieutenant Commander at the time, been in the Navy 14 years, got 1,000 hours in Tomcats, day, night, been on deployment a couple of times, and pretty experienced guy. You need to jump with us. And I go, "Oh, no. I'm not going to jump out of a perfectly good airplane." And they said, "Well, President Bush did." I said, "Well, that's great. It's on his bucket list." I said, "He wanted to do that. I'm not going." And they go, "Well, we had a 94-year-old grandmother jump with us last week." I said, "That's it. Okay, fine. You can't throw that gauntlet in front of a fighter pilot and not take that thing." So about the next Tuesday, I drove down to Fort Bragg from the Pentagon, and in the morning, I did their schedule with them for the next air show season. So the air show season that started in March of 1995, where they were going to go. And then in the afternoon, I went and did the parachute training with their rigger, who was a Delta guy. Now, all the people on the Golden Knights are Rangers, and the majority of them are Delta Force.
Badass dudes.
Badass dudes, and just amazing. And so I'm in there rigging with this guy, Andy. He's showing me the stuff. Same military training I'm used to, same parachute training I'm used to. And he says, "Hey, do you want to do a tandem jump, like somebody strapped to your back like you see President Bush do kind of thing? Or do you want to go on this thing called accelerated free fall, which is you got your own chute, a couple guys hang on to you on the way out?" I said, "Well, I don't want to be strapped to anybody. I want to do the accelerated free fall thing. I know how to work a parachute." He goes, okay, so this is what's going to work. You know, he hung me from the straps and he made me practice my arch. And you know, when you go to do the arch, you think you're arching, and skydivers will say, arch. I mean, like they yell at you in the air, arch. And so you got this big arch like this.
I wish I'd have known that when I jumped out.
Yeah, you should have. Now,
Okay.
a good arch does not affect the landing if you don't have a parachute, Sam. So good job surviving the parachute. I mean, but you had good form when you hit the ground.
Well,
I'm pretty impressed,
I
actually.
appreciate it.
Yeah. And it's a pleasure sitting with you here, by the way, and glad you survived that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Me
hey,
too.
here's to Sam's survival. Thank you very much. Good to be
Thank
back. All right. Good stories require bourbon, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, and so, yeah, we're doing good here. So, we do accelerated free fall. A couple guys going to hang on to you on the way out, and he taught me the signals, and this is scan. So all you skydivers out there, you know this by heart. This is scan, and this is pull. Pull, scan. And so the guys going out, they're like your escorts to make sure you're not going to die. And they put you in the right form, and they tell you to arch and all this kind of stuff going down. And so I'm like, okay, this is going to be cool. Standard military training. I'd been in the Dilbert Dunker. I'd been in the Hilo Dunker. I'd been put under stress conditions. It's like, I solve standard stuff. Okay, this is good. It's just Army instead of Navy. So next morning, this Wednesday morning, we go down to a drop zone in North Carolina called Rayford. And Rayford is where they practice down there. And we got into their demonstration airplane, the big gold, black, and white airplane that they go flying in. And we get into, nothing's in the airplane except for like a bench on two sides of the fuselage. And on this bench over here on the right, there's about 15 new Army Rangers that want to be Golden Knights. And they're like the candidates, you know, trying out. And there's me and these two Delta guys. Cement blocks. Both about 5'6", this high. They could kill me with their pinky. I wouldn't even know I'm dead. And they are badass. And those are my two escorts. And of course, you know, I say hi to them, and they just look at me like I'm a sandbag or something like that. You know, all right, this is going to be cool. We go up in the airplane, we sit down over here, up we go, and we're going to go to 14,500 feet, and then I'm jumping with the two cement blocks. And I know they're going to make sure that I survive, right? And so, all right, time to go all the way up 14,500 feet, turn around. The jump master in the airplane, you know, he yells, ah! And so the three of us get up and we go over, and I do this better standing up, but we go over by this big cargo door. And it's over on the left side of the airplane. And he reaches down, he pulls the cargo door up. It's a big thing. In rushes the wind, you know. Kind of cold at 14,500 feet. And down there, 14,000 feet down, is the green checkerboard of the North Carolina countryside. And I went, oh, no, I'm not going. No. Backed up like a dog. All 4 feet skidding, just backed up, like terrified. The actual fear that I'd never experienced before. And terrified, I'm not going. My knees literally buckled. Physical fear, like, nah, that. And I went, nope, not going. Those two pilots they're gonna land the airplane, and I'm gonna go with them. You guys go have fun. It's cool. It's neat to watch up here. Thanks for the training. See you later. You know, and I'm backing up into the right-hand cement block, right here. He's nose to nose with me, 2 inches away from my face, and he says, Commander, this airplane's gonna land, and we're not gonna be on it. We can either throw you out, or you can take us out. It's your choice. And I went, okay. My fear disappeared in that instant. It just disappeared. It went away. Because I had confidence in this guy, they're going to save my life. And I went, okay, 1, 2, 3, go. And out we went. Totally coolest thing I've ever done in my life. It was, oh my God, it was so cool. I never pulled my ripcord. They went scan, yeah, woohoo, wah, you know, because I was so overwhelmed by the sensory thing of just racing down through the air, which is awesome. It's like diving into the deep end when you first learn to swim and you know you can do it. It's just like that. And so they're going, scan. I'm going, yeah. You know, I look at my altimeter. Okay, you know, scan, pull. Okay, so the guy on the left tracks away. The guy on the right grabs my ripcord and tracks away that way, and I ended up under a chute. And I got all balled up. I landed 1.5 miles out of the drop zone, all balled up in a cornfield in the mud. Like that, because I'd delayed us. And picked up my parachute, balled it up, and I'm walking towards the Jeep as they're driving over thinking they'd kill me. I said, sir, are you okay? I said, yeah, can we do that again? I ended up getting 26 free falls with them. I completed the whole jump syllabus as one of their students. I'd drive down to Fayetteville a couple of weekends in a row. My last few were at Yuma Proving Ground at their winter training site. Last 3 were at night, Sam. First one by myself. First jump, parachute malfunction above my head.
Oh no.
Little ball, 10 feet up. I get out, boom, pull the thing, and just all this, and I look up, as you're always supposed to check your chute. It's right there, this little ball. And what you do, the first thing you do is you take the risers and you yank them apart to try to untwist this parachute, and then think about, I got to pull my reserve. This is black night, like black night. In about 15 seconds, the parachute came open. I sang to myself all the way down.
I bet.
Yeah. That one I saved my own life.
I want to tell you a little story. Our dads, we're Marine brats. How he ended up in the Navy, I don't know. It's a story for another day. But it used to be an Army commercial, the guys jumping out of the plane, going, go, go.
Yeah.
And my dad told me one time when that commercial was on, he says, a Marine has to be on every one of those flights. I said, really? Why? He said, who do you think throws their ass out of the plane? So, that's the kind of Marine my dad was.
You want to tell you another story this guy told me the other day? He said he's sitting with an Army guy, old grizzly master sergeant. He goes, hey, you know what Army stands for? The guy's like, no, what? He goes, ain't ready to be a Marine yet. A-R-M-Y, ain't ready to be a Marine yet.
So I'm going to change gears a little bit. I want to talk about any stories that you have that did not make the book. I know, and I'm going to bait you a little bit here, because after the last time you came, we had a really nice bourbon and cigar session, and I asked you about UFOs. We're running short on time. Robbie's giving the signal over there, so give me a quick answer to that question.
Well, it's not a satisfying answer for you guys. I have never seen a UFO.
Okay.
I've seen very experienced pilots chase stars. Turned out to be a star.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll also tell you that video on the TV of the Tic Tac, I know that pilot. He's a very good pilot, and he knows exactly what he's doing. I also know that the F-18 Super Hornet heads-up display and the symbology there and the things that the F-18 Super Hornet has for weapon systems, they do lock onto something that's real. So the thing they saw, that was real. That was actually there. But I couldn't explain that thing to you, nor could anybody else. And it did physical stuff that I don't know of anything that does that. Another little story there is that one guy coming over the horizon to join the fight, it's like this thing here, and he comes over the top of where everybody is, and he can see all the lights of the Navy airplanes. He's looking to say, okay, I'm looking, where is it? And he goes, it just went past you straight up.
Wow.
So the thing just came off the surface of the water and went blasting by this guy straight up. He never saw it. So it's interesting. Most of those phenomena turn out to be, I'm not kidding, weather balloons, aircraft, things that are really explainable. But I've never seen a UFO. If I did, I probably would have put it in the book.
Well, again, I've got so much information to cover, and we're running out of time.
Okay, go ahead.
But I did want to talk about when we were young guys. We had a little band called Firehouse. We're the first Firehouse, by the way. Mike was our manager.
Yes.
Kind of, sort of.
Sort of.
And there's a picture of us that we put up before, both of us together. And we've talked about it many times, and what did you say about it?
I say the same thing that I'll say to you now that I said to you the first time I saw you and your family in Crystal City when you came up to visit 3 years ago, is you look exactly the same now as you did then. If you put black hair on, you would be exactly the same guy. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, watch this. Watch this. Now you got to pull it up. It's got to be parted in the middle, because you have your hair parted in the middle. You were like a drug guy. No, not on the side. It's got to be right down the middle. You got to put that part like over the other way. The other way.
This is as close as I can get.
Yeah, okay. But you guys, if we had that picture, you've got to see how close Sam Bass looks at age 14 and at whatever he is now, which is still younger than me. But
I'm 34 now.
If you had that thing parted in the middle, it looks exactly like you. I don't look anything like.
We'll have to get a razor to shave his little goatee off.
Yeah.
But he does look the same. But anyway.
Oh, God, that cracks me up.
Yeah, so look, this just tells me you got to come back again because we've run out of time.
3P.
I do want to say that I do appreciate you coming to Rocky Mount. You're doing a chamber event for us. I really appreciate that. Everybody's looking forward to that. We're going to set it up. You're going to come back. We're going to do it again. He'll be the first three-timer, folks.
There we go.
So thanks again, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mike Nasty. I knew him before he was nasty. Mike Nasty Manazir. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Sam. That's awesome.
Hey, thanks for watching. I want to thank my good friend, longtime friend, retired Admiral and Top Gun pilot Mike Manazir for joining me yet again. So every Thursday night and Saturday night at 10, right here on WHIG, tune in, Up Late with Sam Bass. I'll see you soon.